Good evening, good evening. You're locked into another episode of the Red Sea podcast, and today brings our Transfer Tuesday special. We have a very, very, very special guest with us here, Liverpool TV royalty, that we've got here with us this evening. We're going to be discussing more outgoings than incomings as the Liverpool transfer trail seemed a little bit cold, but we'll get into it on the other side of this intro.
Tell the world, we are Liverpool champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Yes, guys, good evening. How are we? Everyone all right?
Pumped now again, mate. Every time that fucking intro does it to me, man.
I know. It gets you on a buzz and gets you ready for the show.
Honestly.
But it's good to have you back, mate. Like I said, Liverpool YouTube TV royalty. You're back in the building again for another episode of our Transfer Tuesday, because last time we've done this in the summer, it was absolutely fantastic. So it's good to have you back. Just obviously, the viewers that don't know who you are, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Chris from Redmen TV. I'm excited to talk some transfers with you. I looked at the agenda. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about here, lads. I can talk about this stuff with you, which is nice. I've got to be honest, like, transfers isn't one of my most favourite subjects, but it's nice to talk to different people about different stuff as well, isn't it? And get different opinions that you don't normally get. So I just think there's so much emphasis placed on transfers, and I think coaching's more important, and we never talk about coaching. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you're right. There is a lot of emphasis placed on transfers, a lot of euphoria where transfers are concerned, because we're fans of the football club. We want to see those sexy signings. We want to see Liverpool go out and make the real big statement pieces. But the January window is often a quiet one where Liverpool aren't very, very busy, but we have seen big signings in January before. Virgil van Dijk came in January, Daniel Sturridge came in January. So Liverpool have in years gone by been active in this window. But as I said on the intro, today is probably more about the outs than ins. And SS, and I have been talking a little bit, behind closed doors about what's been going on with Liverpool at the moment and where we're at in terms of the transfer market and what we intend to do. So this show is going to be a very, very interesting one, because you put the agenda together.
I did.
on this one. So look, I want to dive straight in at the deep end and jump into the whole Origi thing. There's talk about Origi leaving the club. Can he or will he go abroad? Will he stay in the Premier League? A couple of news reports are saying that he favours to stay in the Premier League over everything else. Are we going to see Divock Origi staying in the Premier League, or are we going to see him move abroad? Because he can sign a pre-contract this January, can't he?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I was looking at the links. He was linked with Serie A, and like you say, he's been on loan to Germany. We got him from France, so he seems to be quite happy in England. I think that's an understatement. He's quite happy to be a reserve at Liverpool. He's taking his wage, coming in, doing a job when we need him, which is great. But realistically, he's mid-20s. For me, I think it's probably the end of the road this summer. If we're going to add one more to that front line, which I'd hope that we're looking to try and improve, then I think Origi probably could be on his way. But with the African nations at the minute, I think it's unlikely to be January. I think Newcastle were the interested party, but Chris Wood seems to be the guy that they've splashed the cash on, £20 million, which is absolutely bizarre, isn't it?
Terrible business.
Shocking. I guess weaken your rivals, because they've only got to overtake Burnley or Watford, haven't they, to stay up? So one of them.
It's mad that if you put yourself in Newcastle's shoes and you're looking at it and going I know we wanted 10 million or whatever for Origi. If there's 6 months left on his deal, which I think there's a clause in his contract, isn't there?
Yes.
is that if he starts a certain amount of Premier League games, he can trigger an automatic 1-year extension of Origi.
Yeah.
I don't think I know what the number of games are, and I don't think it's been reported what the number of games are either that he has to start. Obviously, you know, he's had one start, I think, so far in the Premier League. But like, you're looking at it going, well, 10 million quid buys you Divock Origi, or I'll spend 20 on Wood. Really? Like, because you could have splashed 20 million quid on Origi, and I tell you what, he guarantees you about double, triple the amount of goals that Wood's going to bring into your side, because what's he got, 5 and 10? But it's like it's like 4 or 5 full games, I think.
Yeah.
You know, when you break it down into 90s, what Origi's got. So he's playing well, he's scoring goals, and that's what they need. They're desperate for goals, Newcastle. I think it's something like, if they scored 19 goals or 21 goals this season, it's not a lot of goals that they've scored, and they're after Chris Wood. Like, he's not hardly going to score your goals. You may as well have gone and got Dom Solanke, who you were linked with, who's banged them in for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know, at an incredible rate. Yeah, of course. So, just bizarre. And if you're Origi, why would you go to Newcastle? That Wood signing says to me, and I think, James, you just said it before, didn't you, mate, is that, like, they're not thinking about staying up.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to attract the right type of player then, are you?
No, and SS, you and I spoke about this briefly on the phone before the show when you told me that they'd signed Chris Wood. I was like,
the Jim White breaking the news.
Yeah, they're prepping for relegation. You know that, and that's no slur on the Newcastle fan base. I know there's a lot of excitement, and you know, Kendall, if you're watching this show, don't come after me. But I just think that the current landscape that's happening in Newcastle, you know, with the manager Eddie Howe. You think the money that they've got would have attracted a bigger name. They were linked to some, you know, Unai Emery was linked, you know, and a whole host of other names were linked because of the level of money that the owners have. And then to go and get Eddie Howe, a manager which does know the Championship, because he's been through that league with Bournemouth. You then think about the Chris Wood signing, a player that does know that league because he's been through it, you know, before. So it just stinks of them prepping for relegation. Trippier is a big capture for Newcastle.
I don't think he was planning Championship.
No, but money talks, doesn't it? Money talks. You know, and apparently there is no relegation clause in his contract. But if let's say Newcastle were to be relegated, and a team wanted to sign him, I don't think you're looking big money to get him out of Newcastle. You're going to have to pay another the 20 million that they signed him for. And Newcastle probably go, yeah, thank you very much. You get him off the wage bill. Not that wages necessarily be an issue, but do Newcastle want to be carrying that level of wages in the Championship, where FFP is still a thing, because we've seen the likes of Derby, and I think even more so, even more enforced in the Championship. We've seen the likes of Derby full foul to FFP. In the Championship, points deduction.
Fucking hard to say that. I mean, to be fair, like, the fact that you even attempted that, like, there was a lot of F's in what you were trying to say then. There's no chance any of us would have been able to do that one first time.
No, I was quite surprised with Eddie Howe, because like you say, they got all this money, the transfer window comes up. It's similar to when Man City got taken over, isn't it, on like the final day of the summer window. They just had to have a complete fire bids for everybody, and January, they've got 30 days to do it, but it's so condensed and so hard to get players in, because they're basically saying they need a striker for this weekend for the Watford game, because that's a must win. You know, that's a 6 point at the definition of. So I get Eddie Howe coming in with kind of, at the time was who else was available, but you see Steven Gerrard go to Villa, you know, arguably less kind of experience as a manager than Eddie Howe, really. He's had a couple of seasons in Scotland, but Eddie Howe's finished 8th with Bournemouth in the Premier League. So they've gone and got a big name, but look who he can attract. You know, we're going to talk about Coutinho in a little while, but, you know, Lucas Digne's linked as well. So, you know, Aston Villa versus Newcastle in size of club, pretty neck and neck, I would suggest. But Steven Gerrard seems to be the guy that can attract these big names. I think Newcastle have probably missed a trick there.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I'll let you come to that, because I kind of second that. You know, Steven Gerrard is not necessarily as a manager, but in terms of as a player, he's a household name. So the Steven Gerrard effect seems to be working at Aston Villa. You know, Coutinho through the door, Luca Dean linked. You know, and I remember watching the interview with Stevie, and he says, look, we've had a while to look at the players. We've had to kind of look at it or do it on the job because we've come in mid-season, but we now know what we need. And he's not hung around. He's gone, right, Coutinho, let's do it. Luca Dean, we need someone who's going to put balls into a box because he's a cross merchant. Let's do it. Do you know what I mean? To basically galvanise Villa, and could Newcastle could Newcastle have had a little bit of that pull that Stevie brings?
They could have, but I just don't think Stevie would have gone there, to be honest with you. I think it was a much more stable job, Aston Villa, for Stevie. You know, in the next phase of his career, I think, you know, he got what he got out of Rangers. He won trophies, he proved himself at a decent level, and then he's obviously thought, because I think the Newcastle job was there for him if he wanted it, to be honest with you. It's that, like, which way round did it go, mate? Did it go Eddie Howe after the takeover? It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's, although there's loads of money, you don't know how that club's going to be run anymore. And I think instability at boardroom level and ownership level can be just as problematic as anything else in a football club, because, you know, you just don't know how it goes. I mean, they might be the next Abramovich who just sacks managers every 5 weeks. You just don't know, and there's nothing there that you can look back on and go, I've got nothing. There's no proof either way. It's a big risk with my career. Whereas I know what Aston Villa have done. I know how they've got to where they are. I can see that it's been stable, it's been consistent, and there's been improvements. And I think I can take that to the next level. So I agree, Newcastle would be better off for having him there, but I'm just not sure it was the right move for him right then.
Yeah, you know, and I probably second everything you say in there. To be honest, you know, Stevie has been very open with how he's kind of plotting his career. You know, he's almost plotting his scheme in a way in terms of what he wants to do with his career. And Villa seem like they're a club that's going places. You know, they're not afraid to dip their hand in their pocket, and also they've got a good young crop of players coming through as well. You know, we think like Konza as a centre back. You know, that's obviously at Villa. He looks like an absolute talent, a little bit raw, but he's an absolute talent. And I think that nicely, as we're talking about Villa, brings us on to a certain Joe Gomez. What on earth is going on with the conundrum that is Joe Gomez at the moment? You know, a player which kind of was heavily involved in our title winning season, in terms of as a centre back alongside Virgil van Dijk. The injury has been horrific for him. That injury he sustained away on international duty, which ended his season. You know, SS, I'll come to you on this one. I don't think he's fully recovered. I really don't. I don't think he's up to speed. I don't think he's fully recovered. But the difficulty is that he needs game time to get that match fitness and that match pace back. Every time he comes into the squad, he looks like a lost puppy. He really, really does. I mean, what's your thoughts? Where do we go from here? Because you and I were discussing it, and we were saying that Joe Gomez to Villa is probably an upgrade on Tyrone Mings, respectfully. Joe Gomez is a better defender.
It's the Gerrard.
The Gomez partnership.
It's the Gerrard effect, isn't it? I mean, he's going to have links at Liverpool, and the question for me is, if Joe Gomez is just going to be fourth choice centre-back for the rest of the season, realistically, other than an FA Cup game, if he's fit, is he going to really feature? And I think the answer is probably no. You know, we're coming into the business end of the season from after this January window. You've got Champions League, you've got the Premier League running. You know, every game is thick and fast, and we've already got Van Dijk, Konate, and Matip that are rotating in those positions. That's very hard to break into. You know, Matip has, as you've said, James, surprised us quite a lot with his fitness. Probably the best run of games he's ever had, without picking up any injuries, other than obviously COVID, which, you know, can't be helped. Van Dijk has been sensational. We weren't sure how he'd return, but he's been thrown in at the deep end and pretty much played every single game. He's only really missed the kind of dead rubbers in the Champions League. Other than that, he's pretty much been there every single time. And, you know, Konate, a big signing, didn't feature too much at the beginning of the season, but started to come in, played well against Man United, etc. And, you know, he kind of dips in and out when Matip needs a little break as well. So for me, it's Joe Gomez versus Nat Phillips. If it's just going to be a fourth choice centre back, then for me, the thing that makes sense is to have Nat Phillips as the backup. That you probably aren't going to have maybe in your plans for next season, let Joe Gomez go to Villa, let him get some game time, let him try and get in the England squad. Because if Tyrone Mings can do it at Villa, Gomez is twice the centre back that Mings is. So I think that would be brilliant for Joe Gomez's career right now, because like you say, he needs game time and he's not really going to get it consistently at Liverpool. He needs to go away, get that match fitness, find himself again, because like you said, he's struggled against the likes of Preston. He's looked a little bit out of sorts. Yeah, 100%. So I think keep Nat as a fourth choice for now. Into the summer, Joe Gomez goes to Villa for the rest of the season, hopefully gets some game time, comes back. We've then got 4 quality, in-form, fit centre-backs for next season. And then we say to Nat, do you know what, mate? It's been amazing. Go and play some football now, mate, because you deserve it.
I totally agree with everything that you said. And Chris, I'm going to come to you on this, because we look at Virgil van Dijk, and if we're looking at it as kind of like a prototype for how to get yourself back to fitness throughout the season, he used the games to get him up to speed. You know, you and I went to the first game of the season, SS, and we saw Virg in that Burnley game. He looked a little bit off the pace, and then slowly we've started to see him pick it up, and he almost looks, I'm not saying that he almost looks like Virgil van Dijk that was before the injury. You know, he's not afraid to get into a sprint race with someone. He's not afraid to attack a ball. You know, he's not afraid to play in the same way that he was. Joe just looks like he's lacking something. There's a little bit of reluctancy there that I'm seeing in his game, and he was an aggressive centre back. He'd get into a foot race, he'd tackle, he's happy to go to ground. I'm just not seeing that from Joe Gomez at the moment. And like we said, Matip's fitness is absolutely flabbergasted me. I didn't expect Matip. You know, we spoke at the start of the season. We thought that Matip would be the fourth choice. So I was thinking Van Dijk, Gomez, centre-back partnership, restore that partnership. It done so well. It won us the title. Canate will float in and out and replace either one of those. And Matip, if he's fit, then he'll pick up the slack. But it's flipped on its head. Matip has been the first choice to go with Virgil. And then Kanate's almost been picking up the slack. And then, you know, Gomez can't even get a bloody look in. I mean, what's your thoughts?
On the Gomez thing, I think he's brilliant, but he needs game time. SS is right, man. I mean, it doesn't feel like he's 2 or 3 games away from being back fit. It feels like he's 3 months, 4 months of games. I'm concerned that he's not going to be a Liverpool player in the next 6 months, to be honest with you, because I don't know that he's recovered from that injury. I think there would have been more trust personally, and I'm just guessing here, by the way. I think there would have been more trust put into him, and I'm surprised that Kanate. I'm not surprised that Matip has ousted him. I am surprised that Kanate's ousted him because he didn't know the system. Joe Gomez had an advantage on him, and that says to me that physically, I'm not sure Gomez is right.
Yeah.
And why I actually, again, just all basing it from this, Joe Gomez might be not in a great physical condition. I say he doesn't go out on loan because you don't want people to know that.
Yeah.
Right? But if he goes out on loan, I'm completely wrong. Because it does mean that there's trust in him and there's trust to build for the future, because we're probably maybe 3 or 4 years away from Van Dijk not being at the top end of the game. You know, what is he, 30, 31, I think, maybe, Van Dijk. You've probably got till 34, 35. If Silva could do it for Chelsea at 35 years old at the business end of the season, at the business end of this league, Van Dijk can go 4 years at the top. Kanate is a young lad who's already ahead of Joe Gomez. Joe Matip's probably got 3 or 4 years, maybe not quite as long, depending on injury. I'd maybe 2 years at the top for Joel, let's say, which leaves there's 2 lads there, isn't there? There's Kanate and Gomez, and Kanate's ahead of him to play alongside Virgil van Dijk. How long does Joe Gomez sit there for before he decides that I don't want to do this, I want to go and have a career? I don't know. I might be completely wrong. I really might be, but I just think he'd have got more game time than Kanate if he was fit.
Well, let's probe that a little bit, because I do. You make some sense in what you're saying, because the trust element arguably would have been with a player which understands the system, also been in a title-winning team. That's no mean feat. Delivered our first title in 30 years.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing, and for that reason, he will go down in Liverpool folklore forever a legend, because he's part of that legendary crop of players which brought the title back to Liverpool. So, SS, I'll come to you on this one. If you're Joe Gomez, you're surveying the scene at Liverpool at the moment. You're seeing that you've got Konate, who when he comes in is an absolute colossal. He's a powerhouse.
He's done really well,
and he looks right next to Virgil van Dijk. It's a nice fit.
Yeah.
You're then thinking Matip's playing and stringing together a number of games, but we look at the injury history of Joel Matip. He's never 1 or 2 games away from a thigh strain or something, because his injuries are always muscle injuries. But this isn't the first impact injury that Joe Gomez has had. We think about when he was out under the Rodgers era, he had an impact injury, with a nasty one again as well. And
he got a broken leg, didn't he, as well, at Burnley? Was it 2 seasons ago?
He did. And well, he's had, this could be the third impact injury that he's had, because I know he was out for a period of time under Rodgers, and then probably this is the second one under Klopp. So
yeah, he's had a cruciate Achilles, ankle, and patella problems. This is his last one. I'm literally reading off his injury history here. Missing 52 games, 15 games, 5 games, 2 games, 23 games, and 39 games.
Yeah. So that's a lot of injuries for such a young player. And I said this on a pod the other week. I think his career is going the same way that Ledley King's career went. Ledley King, as a centre-back, was fantastic as an English centre-back. He just couldn't be fit for a sustained period of time. Are we going to see this with Joe Gomez? And are Liverpool going to continue to take that gamble and saying, look, he'll be right next season, or he'll be right in a couple of months, he'll be right in a couple of months? When do you almost luck out where someone at the club says, we need to move this guy on? Number one, for the club to grow, and number two, for his own benefit in his own games. And I can't believe we're having this conversation about Joe Gomez.
I think we could join them together, couldn't we? I think you could probably say he goes out on loan, and depending on how that loan goes, you make that decision. If he has an absolute stinker, then you know where you need to be. But on the flip side, if he does really well, but he's looked at Liverpool's remaining games and said, you know what, Matip, Konate and Van Dijk haven't missed a game. So even if I was there, I wouldn't have played. So if he does really, really well, Steven Gerrard might decide to try and make it permanent. And we might say, do you know what? It makes sense for all parties if a decent bid comes in. So I think the loan makes sense either way, because if he just sits on the bench as 4th choice, we're not really going to know either way. Like Chris said, if he's not right, we're never going to know unless we see him. So he's either completely not right, and Klopp thinks, do you know what, a loan is not going to help. But if he sticks around, again, he's just falling down the pecking order. And if he was to leave, Nat Phillips is probably not going to stick around forever as well. We might end up looking at bringing someone else in as a 4th choice, a Lovren, a Clavan kind of level, because if the 3 of them that Chris mentioned all stay fit and stay in form, you don't really need a 4th choice. It's just last year was the perfect storm, wasn't it, when all 3 of them were all out for the season, and it became an absolute nightmare. But those 3 are top level centre backs. So if Joe Gomez does get back fit, can he ever reach the kind of Liverpool levels that he did before? Aston Villa, with all due respect, is a step down from trying to win the league and the Champions League. So that might be where he, the highest level he can now reach with all these setbacks.
He's so good though, isn't he?
He is.
He's so good. He's absolutely superb. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. I hope he is. I hope he is just taking a bit of time. I hope he can come back, because 24 years old, if he gets his injury stuff behind him, he's got 10 years at the top.
100%.
I'd love to see him back.
And this is it. You almost tie it into England's issues in the summer. They were forced to play the 3 because Gomez wasn't there. You were forced to play that 3 because putting him in there gives him the option to play a 4 at the back, and he wasn't available. It's difficult because, as you said, you look at the injury history, and then they're big injuries, they're nasty injuries. The last one, they were talking that the muscle was detached and all. It's a nasty injury. So you wish him all the best, and hopefully he can get back to full fitness and back to form, and preferably for us in a Liverpool shirt, and he kicks on from there. Again, it leads us on very, very nicely to Nico Williams, because Nico is a player which not is agitating, but he's been very vocal that he wants to go out and play football, and it's commendable. That's absolutely commendable. Young player to say, do you know what? I want to go out and play football. I want to be involved, and I just don't think he's going to get that opportunity at Liverpool. The question I'm posing here, and I'll come straight back to you, Chris, on it is he Liverpool? Is he Liverpool gravy? Is he got the attributes to succeed in a red shirt? And you think about the players that are in his position, or the player that's in his position, arguably the best right back in world football. Nico is never going to displace him. And if he has aspirations of being a first teamer, being a starter, is that what he's signaling? Is he saying, like, look, I want to go somewhere and be the first team player, but I'm never going to do that here, so kind of let me go?
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think he's probably come through all the different age groups. He's probably been one of the best players in his team. He's probably been the best right back in every league that he's played at, because I think he's a quality right back, and I think he's going to be a quality right back. I think he's got all the skill set to go forward. He's good at crossing. He likes to get to that byline. I think he's better at defending. I think he's really good at defending, actually. I like him in those one-on-one tackling situations. I think he understands the positional side of the game really well. He's coming up against a fucking generational talent, and it's tough titties, to be quite honest with you. That's just the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? You know, you can be the best in your school at something. As soon as you get to city level or national level, you're not the best anymore. That's the way that the world works, and unfortunately for him, he's just come up against the generational talent, and one that he's never had to compete against. You know, this wasn't a lad who was a right back growing up. He's never seen him in that position, but he took advantage of a situation and an opportunity and developed himself into being the best in the world at what he does. So Nico Williams is there probably just fuming, absolutely fuming. Like, what am I supposed to do? I know I'm good enough, but I need football to prove it. I need to go out there and show what I can do. He's obviously a very proud Welshman, wants to play for his country. Again, another commendable thing. You don't want people who just want to sit there and get a few quid for not really playing. You want players who want to play football, but it's keeping them happy that's the hard thing when you've got a big squad and when you've got a great guy in front of them. We're going to have this problem in 2 years' time with Conor Bradley. We're going to have exactly the same issue, because if Trent Alexander-Arnold is there, he's there for 10 years. You're not ousting him. We're going to have the same problem with Caoimhin Kelleher and Alisson Becker in 4 years' time, maybe sooner. These are good problems that big fucking football clubs have. So let's relish these problems. Let's relish our the ones who aren't quite good enough to get in our side wanting to go somewhere else, and let's produce another one, because that's what we've got right now. We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, we've got Nico Williams, we've got Conor Bradley coming through, and on the other side we finally sorted that left back cover in Kostas Tsimikas, and we've got Owen Beck coming through. That's what big clubs do. This is what we want. I agree. It's interesting. And just want to flick to one of the comments that's just popped up here as well.
I personally can't see it under Klopp. I can't see it because we think about how Trent's developed his game, where his game's at the moment. He is fucking unbelievable. There's no other way of describing it. And all of this, defensively, so on and so forth, bollocks to that. He's in the team because what he does is he hurts you going forward. And 9 times out of 10, he will hurt you. The damage that kid does with the ball at his feet is unreal. And he's so young, he's only going to get better. That is a disturbing thing. He's not even peaked yet. What is he going to be doing at 28, 29? That's the worry. Do you know what I mean? It will be unreal. So, SS, just on the Nico Williams thing, there was a link in the summer with Crystal Palace. They were very, very interested, and for whatever reason it didn't happen. Obviously, we probably looked at our injury crisis and said, "Nah, no way, we're not doing that." Nico has said, "I'd like to move." The club have come out and given the blessing and said, "Look, if a suitable offer arrives, we're happy to let you go."
Yeah.
Dare I say that a certain Dejan Lovren walked into the office in the summer and said, "Look, Zenith are after me. I can go and win trophies. Let me go." We gave him his blessing. We let him go, and boom, injury crisis hits. Will Liverpool make this? And look, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it can only be branded as a mistake. It was a mistake. Will Liverpool make a similar mistake? And you're only vindicated after the situation with letting Nico Williams go, because we don't really have any cover at the right back position other than Joe Gomez or James Milner.
I think that's exactly it. Trent's been so consistent. He's always available, always ready to play. But even when he's not been, it's been Joe Gomez filling in, who, even in his prime form before all the injuries, wasn't really a fullback. And especially after his injuries, he's not the right build and not the right speed. He's not the way that fullbacks play in this Klopp system. And, we've ended up putting James Milner there pretty much every time we need cover at right back. He's played there, and this is probably his last season at Liverpool as well. So we kind of need to find a right-footed Kostas, don't we? I mean, Williams, as Chris said, wants to go out, wants to play, he's come through all the youth teams and isn't really accepting to just be a reserve or a third choice right back or fourth choice right back at times. The last time Trent was missing, it was Gomez and Milner that kind of rotated around in that position. So 100%, we wouldn't, without sounding mean, we wouldn't really miss him if he was to go. We were at the Watford game where we won away, and he came on and he created a goal. He was great. I thought he was brilliant. He's played right wing in some of the cups when we've just put anybody out there, and he's looked excellent. So echo everything Chris has said. I think he's a fantastic player. I just don't think Liverpool is going to be his long-term home. So again, if he was to move to a Newcastle or an Aston Villa or somewhere that they need a right back, I think he could go out and become a first choice and start to get in the Wales team consistently. We've seen Andy Robertson become Scotland captain. Could Nico do that if he started to play consistently? He's still such a young lad. He's only going to improve. So I think realistically we need to let him probably go, if not now in the summer, and in the summer we need to go and sign a right-footed Kostas. We need to go and get someone and basically say from day one, you're Trent's backup. That is from day one what you're going to be. We'll pay you to be a backup player. We need you to come in here, there, dead rubbers, cup games, and the odd league game when we've got 3 in a week. That's going to be your role. If you improve and Trent has a bit of a dip, you're going to get your chance, just like Costa did with Robbo. But at the end of the day, first choice is Robbo and Trent, and you're going to have to accept it. So I think we should let him go. Probably keep hold of him till the summer, and then bring someone in the same window.
You make some good points there, because I think the Kostas signing has been good for all parties. There was a lot of eyebrows raised when we brought him in. He looked a little bit out of touch, but he's had that kind of season to get to grips with the system, to get to grips with how everyone plays. And this year he's hit the ground running. When he's come in, he has been a revelation. The hunger, the desire, the aggression, the tempo, the intensity that man plays with. And to get to that byline, and the link up with Sadio Mane has been absolutely fantastic as well on that left-hand side of the park. He looks like he's always kind of been there, the ideal understudy essentially to Robbo. But I think there was a point in the season where Robbo's form had dipped, and there was questions being asked: Is Kostas the man to now assume that position? We can't get away from it. Those questions were, but what it did do is it gave Andy Robertson a kick up the backside, and he came in and he's done absolutely fantastic when he's come back into the team and available for those games. Do we need the same thing on the right hand side with Trent Alexander-Arnold? We know that Milner, or we assume that this could potentially be James Milner's last season at Liverpool, and if you give that man a pair of gloves, he's going to give you 100%. He's just that man. Mr. Strong Man will run through a brick wall for the team. He personifies everything that Jurgen Klopp is. Hard work, grit, determination, never stop running, never say die, keep going. What do we do in that position? Because we talk about availability in the market, we talk about quality, value. I just don't think it exists in the market in that position at the moment. I can't think of anybody that is there and ready. And then you make a decision of, do we let Nico go? Do we let Nico go because and who do we get in, or do we keep him because there just isn't anybody there? Which, is club first, isn't it? The club is the main priority. What happens for us is the main priority. Chris, where do you stand with all of that?
I think we've got Conor Bradley there. I think the club are really, really happy with him. I think the club have known that they've got a really, really good player in Conor Bradley. I think it was too soon last summer for them to be able to take that risk on Conor Bradley being the backup right back. I think for me, speaking honestly, I think Nico Williams has probably been really unlucky with the timings of his injury, because I think Milner and Gomez have kind of played right back because Nico's been unavailable at times. I think had he been fit all season, he would have got more games. Obviously, like, you know what I mean. Not reinventing the wheel here, but
yeah.
Conor Bradley, I think, you know, we saw him against, obviously, midweek, and we was it the weekend? I forget what day it is. We saw him at the weekend. He was absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. I know the goal goes in down his side and he'll be disappointed, etc., etc. But other than that, ball at his feet, he was absolutely brilliant. And that was the first time we've seen him in a back four that's good. You know, we had three good players alongside him, and he was able to excel because of it. The last time we saw him, I think he was playing with Joe Gomez, maybe just coming back from an injury. I think he was probably playing with Owen Beck on the left-hand side, and maybe Kanate making one of his first starts or something. So, no, it was Coutinho. It was Coutinho who played in that defence.
Right. Okay.
So that was the time when he got withdrawn at half time. Who was that against Leicester in the cup, wasn't it? Where he got withdrawn at half time. It was Coutinho who started. So that's a defence that was really difficult for him to come in and showcase what he can do. This time, the other day, we saw him with a proper defence, and I think we saw him flourish. So I think it's very difficult to buy, obviously, backup players. I think we've done it really well with Kostas Tsimikas. But I think for the most part, over the course of our last 15 years, and most Premier League sides last 15 years, there's not many occasions where people have done it well, because it takes a certain type of player to come in and accept at the second fiddle. And I don't think that ever really... It's going to work out a lot less than it doesn't. Do you know what I mean there? And Kostas, I think, is superb because I think he genuinely believes he can get that place and he wants that place. I think it's a little bit of a different ask with Trent. I think there's no one in world football who fancies themselves in a bit of a fight with Trent Alexander-Arnold for the right back position at Liverpool. So developing seems to be the only route that Liverpool have got. Obviously you could keep Nico Williams, but it doesn't look like he wants to.
Yeah. Usually it's you know, you look at Chelsea and City, usually a backup player is someone that didn't work out and they've replaced them and they've stayed around as a backup. You know, Marcos Alonso comes in, he's okay, but we're going to get Chilwell now. Alonso stays as backup. We're going to buy Kepa, a lot of money. We're going to buy Bravo, a lot of money. Not quite what we need. So Mendy and Edison come in. So yeah, you know, if someone comes through the youth, it's very difficult to then buy someone as an obvious backup. I think that's why Spurs struggled so much with Harry Kane, trying to buy a backup striker, because everybody knows Kane's already there. So I agree with Steve. You know, he's a good friend of Redmen TV and a Red Sea podcast. You know, you do need 4 quality players in those positions, because the fullbacks are so key to the way that we play. You know, and you mentioned Man City, you mentioned Chelsea. You know, they've got options, you know, at least 2, you know, in the left back, in the right back positions of good enough quality. There's definitely James and Chilwell that are the first choice, but they can put an Azpilicueta there, they can put an Alonso there. They were looking at Digne as well. So to try and compete with these guys, we do start to need to find, you know, at least a decent backup kind of quality, rather than just saying, do you know what, Robertson's injured, we're screwed. If Trent's injured, we're screwed. We've got to start putting square pegs in round holes, which is what we've done really. And, you know, pretty much for the last couple of years, we've relied very heavily on the first 11.
But isn't that testament to the quality of player that's at Liverpool Football Club at the moment? We're in such an era where, and I said this before, like if we end this period with not the level of trophies that we expect, it's such a damn shame, because you've got the best right back in world football, you've got arguably one of the best goalkeepers in world football, arguably one of the best centre backs in world football, one of the best CDMs in world football, one of the best strike force in world football. We've got so many top draw players at this club that excel on the world stage. Does anybody really fancy it? Like you said, unless they're going to get paid top money, and that's where Manchester City and Chelsea kind of have the jump, because they're like, look, you ain't displacing Trent, so we're going to pay you a shit ton of money just to make you feel okay about it. And all that's going to happen is you're going to come in and play a couple of games in the season, but don't worry, you're going to get a good paycheck. That's not the Liverpool way. Like you said, Chris, we want players to come in and want the fight. They've got to be up for it. We've seen with Costas, and I think you're right. I genuinely believe that he backs his ability enough to turn around and say, no, I can displace this kid. I can keep him out of the game, because I'll keep him out of the squad. Because every time he's come in, he's looked fucking amazing. He's played with heart. I mean, the Burnley game, how the hell did he get out of that? They all swarmed him, and he was just like, yeah, all right, bring it on. Do you know what I mean? So you think to yourself, if we, like you said, if we can find another Costas, and the availability on the market and the quality on the market just doesn't feel like another Costas is round the corner. So
we need a scouting mission, because we were looking at Jamal Lewis, weren't we, at Norwich, and they wanted too much money. He went to Newcastle and doesn't even get in their team. So, you know, I didn't know who Kostas Smikas was at Olympiacos. Never heard of him, but he's come in and he's been brilliant. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone in the Premier League, not necessarily someone that you know, but there's leagues out there with first choice left backs in Greece, in Holland, in Switzerland, these kind of countries that they would happily move to England and have a go. And you know, if they can't displace Trent, which is very unlikely, they might stick around for 2-3 years, get Liverpool on their CV, get some fantastic coaching from Klopp, and move on, and we get the next one in. So, like Chris said, Trent's here for 10, 12 years, future captain of this club. So, you know, he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
So again, I think that leads us nicely on, as we're talking about future captains of the club, legacy of the club. Philip Coutinho. This is kind of divided opinion in the fan base. You know, the third conversation about whether we should have signed him back and all of this. I don't necessarily want to focus too heavily on that. I think that Villa have got an absolute cop. They've got a very good player coming into their team, a player which knows how to win and has quality. So it's a good signing for Villa. But the question still remains, Liverpool have got no Sadio Mane, we've got no Mohamed Salah because they're away at the African Cup of Nations. Divock Origi is currently injured. So as it stands, that front three is looking like Firmino, Jota and Minamino. Or Firmino, Jota, Ox. Firmino, Jota, Nico Williams. Players that don't necessarily play in that position. Chris, I'll come to you first. Did we miss a trick here with a 6-month deal just to say, look, come in for 6 months, contribute, get your confidence back, and then you can go on to other things? Or have we dodged a bullet with not flirting with the Philip Coutinho thing again?
I think there can be two truths and two rights, and I think it can work out for both parties. I think it will work out for Aston Villa, and I think it will work out better that Liverpool didn't put a bid in for him and get him back into our squad. It's going to be an unpopular opinion. We got better when he left. You know, I've seen so much of it online about, and I see every time Liverpool draw or lose, we didn't replace Coutinho. We won the friggin' Premier League and the European Cup without Phil Coutinho. We got better. We got better without him. We know what that money did, and we know what that influx of cash did, and Phil Coutinho was a great player for us, but his attitude at the end fucking stunk. Like faking injuries and all that type of stuff, nah, not for me. Like, are you going to get back with a bird who cheated on you? No. Then same for Phil Coutinho and me. The club moves on. You know, Liverpool Football Club is massive, and we're going to stay fans for the rest of our lives, and we're going to make sure our family are going to be fans for the rest of their lives. They're not the same as us. They are there for a short while, enjoy them while they put the effort in, and then forget about them when they leave the football club. That's what I've done with Phil Coutinho. I really do think it'll be a really good move for him to Aston Villa. I think if there is a club that he can go back and get his confidence back, how good is it to have Steven Gerrard, a player you played with, go, I believe in you. After having after uprooting your family from a really good situation in Liverpool after 5 years at Liverpool, and then you're having a year in Barcelona, a year in Germany, back there, over here, up there, now you're in Birmingham. I mean, God almighty, poor lads, poor family. I feel for them all, like, you know what I mean? But that was his bed, and he's got a lie in it. He's made those decisions and he's made those mistakes. He's caused problems. As far as Liverpool go, I don't see, and this is why I don't think it's a great thing for Liverpool, is I don't see it's more than a month loan.
Yeah.
Because with what you're saying is the forward option, completely agree, but they'll be back in 20 days.
Yeah.
Like, and then does he displace Mane or Salah? No. Is he fit? No idea.
Yeah.
Is he going to be back in the system and up to speed in 20 days? I very much doubt it. So for me, I'm like, look, I get it, and everybody's got different opinions. I'm sure one of you two will really like Phil Coutinho, but for me, I'm done with him. Like, I just can't. I can be wrong, and I probably am wrong, but for me, it's just like, no, don't fake back injuries, mate, and want to come back here a few years later when it didn't work out. You shouldn't have fucking left, and you shouldn't have made those fake injuries in the first place.
I agree with everything that you said, but I'm very vocal on Twitter. Not necessarily on this Philip Coutinho situation in isolation. I think we do it with a lot of players. The Gini Wijnaldum one is another one that rears its ugly head every time a result goes against us. Every time the midfield looks a little bit lackluster, the Gini one comes up. You know, I feel we're a club, and rightly so. We're a very emotional club, and we're a club with a lot of sentiment. And that's a good thing for us, and it's also a bad thing. When we look at sentiment, it works two ways. We think about, let's say, Coutinho, think about all the good times. I think, bloody hell, that free kick against Arsenal, what a belter! That goal against Southampton, freaking hell. The one against Manchester United where he dinks it over to get. Oh my God! There's so many. Well. The City one. There's so many wow moments in the Philip Coutinho back catalogue that put a smile on your face. And you think, what a damn player he is, or he was. Then you think about all the shit with the injuries, the this, the that, and then it starts to taint your opinion, and the nasty side comes out where you go, I don't want him back here. No way. But if we put that all to one side and we just think about the player and the quality that he potentially offers, and then we look at the gaps that we have, because respectfully, Origi or Coutinho, I'm looking at it going, when Origi comes in and we think about last season, he didn't really contribute. In fact, he didn't contribute at all. Do I think Coutinho would have taken some of those chances that Origi was given? Yes. Then I think to myself, 6 months, you carting back off to Barcelona, we're in need now, value in the market, putting all the crap to one side, it's a signing that potentially could have benefited us. SS. I know I've got a gauge of your opinion. Yeah. I know you beat the drum for Gini Wijnaldum, but just on the Coutinho one, with all that considered, what's your opinion?
I agree with a lot of what both of you said. I mean, you know, the way he left was awful. You know, when he was with us, we had that front four of Mane, Salah, Firmino and Coutinho, and it was just a goal fest at the group stage of the Champions League that year. We were scoring 6s and 7s, and you know, he was very much part of that winning squad that went on to win the league and the Champions League. Yes, he didn't stay to get the rewards, and I bet he wishes he did, based on the years in Barca and Bayern. But yeah, you have to look at it in isolation. You know, yes, he was a legend for us. He's not that same player anymore. He's 4 years older, but again, you know, he's only played 24 games in the last 2 seasons at Barcelona. There's not a great deal you can do. He's still got 4 goals in the league. So, you know, that's appearances, that's not starts. He's not really been given a chance. He's 29. We need a short-term fix, because we're not going to go and spend 50, 60 million to fix a 6-month, you know, a month problem. You know, eventually I'd like us to sign another top player, like another Jota, someone that's happy to come in, not necessarily start every single week, but is up for that challenge, like that Smikas was for Robertson. You know, no one thought Jota would come in and be anywhere near as good as he was, but you know, he's almost displaced Mane and Firmino at times on that left or through the middle with how good he's been. So for me, it was a bit of a risk-free, you know, if we're going to look at FSG's kind of model, he's got 50% of his wages paid for him by Barcelona. They already owe us about 5-6 million still. I doubt they would have asked us to pay too much towards someone they haven't actually finished paying us for yet to get him on loan. It would have been a bit risky.
Great shout.
So you know, bit of a free one. If it goes great, can we get him on a free or something very small in the summer if he does well? If it doesn't, you've not lost anything. And you know, he's used to being a sub for top clubs, so he's not going to really moan too much once Mane and Salah come back anyway, is he? So I personally would have done it. I look at Minamino, Origi, Ox in the front three. I lean towards Coutinho in front of all of those. So, you know, I would have signed him. I think he would have given us something more in the last bit of this season. You know, you look at COVID, you look at injuries. You know, you never know what kind of shortages you're going to have if Jota and Mane suddenly are unavailable. You know, you look at Coutinho and think, oh, that could have been a decent one. But we're going to find out. We're going to look at him at Villa for the next 6 months. If he's absolutely shocking, we're going to go, there you go, told you so. What a waste of time he was. And if he starts scoring some absolute belters and blinders, then you're going to go, oh, maybe we should have done something. So difficult to tell at the minute, but it's looking. Egypt lost their first game of the season. Maybe Mo will be back quicker than we expected.
I know. And look, like you said, hindsight is a wonderful thing. If we'd have signed him and he was a flop, everyone would go, oh, what a waste of time that was. He goes to Villa and he starts banging him in. Everyone's going, oh, Liverpool's missed a trick here.
Exactly.
You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And look, we're going to jog it on slightly and we're going to talk about, and you mentioned it, which this is just linking all together quite nice, isn't it? we are going to talk, and it's like almost like we planned it. We're going to talk about the Egyptian king himself. We're going to
that way.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Egyptian king himself in Mohamed Salah. What on earth is going on, and why has he not signed this 5-year mega deal, which has been rumoured and touted around to finish his career at Liverpool Football Club? Every time this man gives an interview, he's throwing it back on the club, basically saying, I want to be here. You've got to offer me something. And the latest episode is, and the headline is, he's not asking for crazy stuff as contract talks drag on. Mohamed Salah's Liverpool deal expires in summer 2023, but the Egyptian forward is keen to stay and has publicly put the onus on the Reds to come up with a solution that suits all parties. Caption: I want to stay, but it's not in my hands, it's in their hands. Chris, I'll come to you first, and this interview, and I feel that the tabloids and the journalists, they drop these interviews, they have these ones, it's like they have a stack of them saved up, and they're like, We'll go to the Mo Salah archive and we'll drop this one and send the whole fan base into delirium overnight, because again, Twitter was absolutely going mental. What's going on? Firstly, have the club put anything to him? And secondly, if not, why the hell have they not put something to this man? Because he's the best player in world football. We have the best player in world football. Don't want to hear the Mbappes, the Ronaldos, the Messis, bollocks to that. He is the best. So why are we not just going, have what you want, mate?
Because they're fucking tight asses, mate. That's what it comes down to, doesn't it? You know what I mean? He is the best, and he'll want to be paid for being the best, and it's breaking our wage budgets. I think that's clear, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I would hazard a guess that right now he's playing politics. He's playing in the court of popular opinion, and he knows how this is going to work, because there are loads of Liverpool fans that don't like FSG. So what he's done there is he's basically gone without, and let's be honest, it's probably got nothing to do with FSG, but that doesn't matter to people. Because the FSG don't run the football club. They have people who run the football club.
They just own it. Yeah, they just own it.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't matter because he's playing in the court of popular opinion. So what he's done there is he's sent everybody straight to FSG. Why the fuck, John, aren't you paying Mo Salah? Do you know what I mean? And I bet you if you check, and I've not done this, I bet you if you check John Henry's ats now, there'll be thousands of people mentioning Salah's comments to him, won't there? Because that's the way it works, and he's playing the game. Mo knows what he's doing. Mo knows what he's doing. He knows how to get what he wants. The fact of the matter, and I'm assuming, if we cut to it, is they've offered him a really good contract, but it's very much predicated on performance bonuses.
Yes.
Like they have done with every Liverpool player over the last few years.
Yes.
Mo Salah is probably turned around and going, it's great that you've got these performance bonuses, but I'm the best player in the world. And I'm not asking to be paid like the best player in the world, but I do want parity with some of my peers in this league. And the problem we've got is we've got this fucking club a few miles down the motorway in Manchester there, spending stupid arse money on crap players. And he's probably looking around and going, fella down there who's dead old, doesn't do any running for his team, made them worse on £500,000 a week. Don't want £500,000 a week, but I just want you to know that that's outrageous. There's another fella down there at that fucking shit football club called Manchester United who's probably on 350 grand a week, who's crap and doesn't make the first team for them. So let's sort this out, boys. Liverpool are a big commercially viable football club, and I get FSG, and I like, and like's the wrong word, I understand FSG's model, and I'm accepting of FSG's model. But this is the best player in world football, and you're probably getting him for about a third of what he's worth. Sort the fucking lad's contract out.
I agree. And look, this goes on. He was the top earner at Liverpool until Virgil van Dijk signed his new contract. Now the figures being talked about are around a new deal in the region of £300,000 a week. £300,000 a week is fucking cheap. That's cheap for a player of that quality. Rumours is that Verge is now touching 250. Performance related. Obviously, we know how FSG work. We know what the model is. Performance related contracts is where they view it. If you do this amount of appearances, goals, all of that in, you will get X. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It keeps players hungry. It keeps the desire. It keeps the determination within the squad. And we have seen this squad over the last 5 years go from strength to strength, from level to level, and maybe that has something to do with it. These players are fucking hungry. They want to win. The desire to win is there, and we saw at the start of the season, Mo came out and said, "We got some wrongs to right. We are hungry. We want to win the Premier League. So just pay the man his worth. £300,000 a week is bottom of your fucking purse change in comparison to what it would have to cost you to replace him. If you wanted to replace those goals, you're looking at £500,000 a week plus a transfer fee. You know, the outrageous demands that Haaland's making, and Haaland is an absolute beast. Don't get me wrong, but at this present time, is he going to be able to come into the Premier League and do Mo Salah numbers? I don't think he does off the bat. You'd get there. But off the bat, I don't think he does. Can Liverpool afford SS not to get this man signed up and let him walk through the door for a nominal fee, considering his contract expires in a year?
They should be counting their lucky stars, shouldn't they? I think this Liverpool squad, especially the core, have bought into this magical club and are accepting that they're not going to be paid what you get paid at City, at Chelsea, at Barca, at Madrid, at PSG. But they accept that, like Klopp said with Coutinho, you know, if you leave, you're just another player. If you stay here, they'll make a statue of him. And it's true. Liverpool fans are different. You are, you know, you have a legacy when you have success here. You're remembered forever. You know, he's gone to Barcelona.
Even when you don't. Even if you're not super successful.
Yeah, you know, you're still welcome back as a legend, aren't you? Absolutely. So I think, you know, it works both ways. I think Mo Salah is very grateful for what Liverpool has done for him. You know, he was at Chelsea, didn't really work out. Went to Italy and Fiorentina, did okay, did well at Roma. He's come to Liverpool, and let's be fair, when we signed him, no one was like, oh, brilliant, we signed one of the future best players in the world. It was like, oh, Mo Salah, yeah, he's a decent little winger in Italy, he might do a job. And he's become the best player in world football. So, like you say, if we give him a base salary of 250 and he can pretty much earn 300 by scoring 20 league goals a season, he'll do that. If we have to give him a base of 300 and performances up to 350, you know, let's get real. Yes, we don't have to have a squad of 22 world-class players like Manchester City do, but when you've got a diamond in your crown, you have to look after them. It's great to improve the stadium. It's great where FSG have picked us up from and taken us to, but this for me would be the final straw. If they let Salah go, I think they're going to undo all the good work they've already done.
It's funny this,
Big
right?
time.
'Cause I'm jogging my memory back, and I remember our Transfer Tuesday show in the summer, and I remember your words, Chris, were no one in the dressing room will have a problem
I remember.
with him earning that level of money. I still think it's and I went away from that. I thought, because I posed a question to you and I thought, really? And do you know what? I don't think they would, because of what he contributes to the team. He's instantly recognisable to the point, and I kid you not, today I was in my car, parked up to do the school run, and I got there a bit early. So you open up a bit of social media, don't you? I flicked it open, and up pops a picture of Mohamed Salah. No word of a lie, my 2-year-old son in his car seat in the back, straight away. Mo Salah, Mo Salah, Mo Salah. You could see on my 2-year-old knows who he is. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And then he's singing, my 2-year-old singing the song.
Oh,
That's a huge impact. That's a huge impact. He is a global superstar to the point where he's reaching kids of 2 years old. Liverpool really need to pull their socks up. I mean, the statement goes on. If you ask me, I would love to stay until the last day of my football career, but I cannot say much about that. It's not in my hands. It depends on what the club want, not me. Like you said, Chris, he's just basically going, there you go, have this grenade, this hot potato, do some with that. Because in these contract talks, it's a game of brinkmanship, isn't it? It's who blinks first, who takes the bait. And I feel Liverpool, FSG or the regime at Liverpool are backed into a corner. They have to do something. It's as simple as that. I mean, Chris, we'll give you the last word on this as we draw to the close of the show. But do you think this gets done in January, or do you think this waits to the summer? Do they drag it out to the summer?
I don't know. I think he's played his ace now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, I just had a little look on Twitter and typed in @John_W_Henry and looked at the latest tweets. There is a lot of people tweeting John W. Henry, calling him feral ghouls and all kinds of stuff. Don't you dare mess this up, John. All this type of stuff. Like, I mean, that's pressure that Mo's put on to them, and that's pressure that Mo's putting on to the football club. And will it move the football club to do it quicker? I don't know. Can I leave you with this?
Go on.
If you sign a man to a contract now, right? He's got a year and a half nearly on his deal. You're paying him a hell of a lot extra money over the next 6 months, where you've already agreed a wage with him, right? Now, it's a dangerous game to play, but he's probably on, 200 grand a week now?
yeah.
We're looking at doubling it, let's say 350.
Yeah.
There's 26 weeks there where you could save yourself a considerable amount of money if you can push it off to the summer, James.
This is what we've got to. This is why would... For fuck's sake. I've just got the visions in my head of someone in the accounts office going, with a calculator going, and there's this bit of paper going, nah, that don't make sense. Fuck it, we'll wait until the summer.
It does baffle me head though. If I were like, you know what, Mo, you signed this fucking contract, lad. You signed it for 5 years. This is what we agreed. Why can't you, I tell you what, I'll give you all the money you want, but let's do it at the end of your current contract. So I'll get you 450 grand a week, but we're sticking to your 200 until the end of the freaking contract that you agreed with.
It wouldn't surprise me. And this is, but look, now you put it like that, someone somewhere's got a spreadsheet open, haven't they? They've got a spreadsheet. They've opened up Excel and they've typed in the numbers and gone, John, this don't make fucking sense.
John, he's earning more than you. Yeah, but it's Mo Salah.
That's what I'm saying. They go, John, listen, at the end of the season, he's going to rate us, right? we need to do something about this. And John's gone, wait, he's phoned him up. Mo, listen, we want you. You want us. Be kind.
No World Cup in the summer.
Yeah.
That.
Listen, can we do this in the summer, Mo? Something, and I think realistically, over the table, his agent's gone, no, I want it now. And they've gone, oh, come on their knees. Look, we can't afford it.
I'll put it on Twitter, John. I'll put it on Twitter.
Oh, God. SS, I know you're going to have a little 2 pence to drop into this before we close, but it just is farcical, isn't it? That the club our size almost is, with those numbers and the level of income we have, it's fucking penny pinching.
You just got to be careful, haven't you? If that drags on into next season, a year's time, he can sign a pre-contract with anyone he wants. He can start talking to PSG, to Madrid, to Barca, and I'm not necessarily saying he would go, but they're going to be dropping some serious cash offers on his doorstep. Because when there's no transfer fee involved, you've got a signing-on fee. You usually get a loyalty bonus when you sign a new contract with a club. It's nowhere near a signing-on fee though when you're joining a new one, because they're battling against everybody else. Madrid versus PSG in a bidding war for Mo Salah. Watch out. So
big numbers,
what Chris says makes complete sense, doesn't it? Why do it now when you can do it in 6 months and save yourself 150 grand a week for 20 odd weeks? It makes complete business sense. And to be fair, that's how FSG have always been. They've just done everything as a business model. So I would hope they look at it in the summer. There's 12 months left. Season's over. Let's sit down. Let's do contracts. Because remember, Mane and Firmino are in the exact same position. So will we see all 3 of them sign new deals in the summer? Or I think we might see 2 of 3 sign the new deals, and we may move one of them on because they're all in that kind of age bracket. Do we give 5-year deals to 3 29-year-olds? Wijnaldum was the one to miss out in midfield. Could Sadio be the one to miss out in the front 3 with Jota coming through? I think he could be.
You're very, very good. Very, very good. And the last, just to leave you on this, Mohamed Salah, goals scored in the Premier League, 16 shots, he's first. 80 shots, he's first. Shots on target, 38, he's first. Assists, 9, he's first.
Man.
Fast breaks, 8, he's first. He tops all of the charts in the Premier League. And someone told me that Cristiano Ronaldo's back in the Premier League. You would never fucking know, would you? Guys, thank you for joining us on Transfer Tuesday. Again, with our very, very special guest, Liverpool royalty, as we say. Thank you for joining us back again, Chris. Just quickly, what you guys got coming up? Because I know you guys are incredibly active. You've got a few shows that you're doing as well. So just let the viewers know quickly what you got coming up.
Yeah, we've got a couple of documentaries coming out actually about the mural. I fucking hate this word. Murals around Liverpool. It's just one of those words that I can never, ever, ever get right. So we've got a couple of little mini docs over on Redmen Plus, our streaming service and stuff. All the usual stuff, mate, build up and everything else, debate shows, lots going on over on Redmen Plus and obviously on YouTube as well. So check it out if you fancy it.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you head over to Redmen TV. If you don't know who Redmen TV are, where in the hell have you been for the last 10 years? Make sure you head over, give these guys a follow on YouTube. And also, if you find it in your heart, sign up to the Redmen Plus because there's some top quality content in there as well.
Yeah. Not far off 500k now, is it, as well?
Yeah, you guys are doing the numbers now, aren't you?
You know what, mate? Yeah, it's been not far off
showtime
500k for what seems like a fucking hell of a long time.
Well,
something special planned for that milestone.
We feel the same because we've not been far off bloody 600 for what seems like a long freaking time. So if you haven't and you're in here, press that button, like, subscribe, hit the bell button and notification, all that stuff that you know that you should be doing to be beating the sodding drum for the last 6 months. Just keep doing it. And one day maybe we'll be in the upper echelons of Redmen TV.
No doubt, mate.
SS, what have we got going? We've got a few bits, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Arsenal Carabao Cup preview tomorrow. Rearranged and flipped around, so it's now the first leg at Anfield instead. We've got Red Sea Full Time, which we do for every game. Instant raw match reaction. And other than that, we've got Brentford preview for the weekend as well. And again, Red Sea Full Time. And then, we've got AFCON Watch on Monday nights. We've got Transfer Tuesdays right here. So, lots going on.
Good. Guys, thank you for joining us. We've been the Red Sea Podcast. Thank you and good night.